Welcome back from your break, everybody, and it's time for us to start and take a look at the interrelationships between the business environment. Now let's start by looking at the components and the relationship between the components of the microenvironment. So here I have a little diagram which depicts 7 of the 8 business functions. Now, when we look at the interrelationship between the business functions, we will see that the business functions are quite dependent on each other. For example, if we want to launch a new product, then first the marketing function has to do some market research. And in this market research, they will find out what is the needs and wants of the consumers. This information will then be relayed to the production function. So they will give this information to the production function, and the production function will use this information to design a prototype or a monster or a specific product. And this product will then be tested, and we will get some feedback from the consumers, and eventually they will decide on how the final product will look and will be produced. Okay. When they've decided what the final product will be, then they will ask the purchasing function to buy the raw materials that the production function will need to produce the product. So the purchasing function will then purchase the products, and they will give the bills to the financial function. So now the financial function will pay all the bills of the products they have purchased. I think you can see the pattern here. Everybody is coexisting. Then the financial function will pay the bills. Then, of course, we need employees to produce the products. So production function then will ask the human resource function to train the employees to produce this specific product, or maybe on how to use the machinery that is needed to produce this specific product. And then we have the administration function, and what they do is they keep records. They keep copies of all transactions, of all contracts, of everything that happens in the business. So of all of this that happened, they have a record on file for general management. And what is the general management's role? Is they must coordinate all of these functions to work together for the business to deliver a quality product or a quality service. So that is the relationship between our business functions. So if we look then at another example of the interrelationship between the departments of a business. Now remember, a business can have different departments, and sometimes, most of the times, these departments are connected to a relative business function. For example, you will have a financial department, and their job is to do the financial function of the business. You will have a marketing department, and what they do is the marketing function of the business. So if we ask what is the relationship between the departments, it's kind of like answering what is the relationship between the business functions. So let's firstly take a look at the bullet. The bullet says that the departments within the business depend on each other and they influence each other when they perform certain duties or their duties and responsibilities. So if you take a look at this little diagram I made for you guys, you will see that this also has to do with maybe launching a new product. So before we can launch a new product, we firstly have to do market research and testing of the sample products. And who does this? Of course, our marketing department is responsible for this. They will then give the information, as I said earlier, to the production function, and the production department rather will then make an initial design of the product. Then they will inquire, they will ask the financial function to gain enough funds or to budget for them to produce this specific product. Then our purchasing function will buy the materials needed for this, rather the purchasing department, will buy the materials needed for this production process. And then our HR department or human resource department will train the employees in order for them to be able to produce what we then have at the end, our new product. So everybody is dependent on each other and work together to then at the end produce a quality and a product, in this case, a new product. Then of course, when we look at the microenvironment, there is two main characters, and those are the employees and the employers. And they also have a very important relationship. Now remember, the employer or the business need the employees to conduct certain tasks and to have certain responsibilities in the business. And they are very important because the employer needs the employees to do the work for them to deliver a product or a service. So our first bullet here states that the business or the employer depend on the employees to perform certain duties, to do their job. And in return, of course, the employer pays the employees to do their job. So the employers then pay the employees for offering their services to the businesses. All right, so that's a codependent relationship. The employer needs them to do the job, and the employees needs the employer to pay their salaries. And what also happens is sometimes the employer has to make certain decisions. And in order for them to make these decisions, they need information. And where do they get the information from? Mostly from their employees. So the last example here of the relationship between the employer and the employee is that the employer will sometimes consult their employees when it comes to developing certain strategies. So they will ask them for their input and their opinions before finalizing strategies that they want to implement in the business. So that gives you a bit more clarity of the interrelationship between the components of the microenvironment. Before we're going to look at the other environments, let's just take a short break.